Well, good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Hello, everyone. This is Tom, your host for Cab Crew Wednesday. I'd like to say hello to everyone. So, Chris was the first one in today from Model Train Alfonso. Then Mom and Son Trains was in here. Hi, Tammy and Ray. Les is here. Hello, Les. John. Okay, I can hear it. Yeah. And um, and let's see who else is here. John from Schuylkill Valley. Hello. Mike from at Petalin Junctions here. Darren Hamill's here. Sparky, how you doing? This is good to see you. Papa John's here. How you doing? And let's see, Derek Alexander, how you doing? James from Dundas Junction, how you doing, James? I think, and Dwight Curley, how you doing, Dwight? Good to see you. Let's see, anybody else here I missed? Oh, Mystic Railroad. Hi, John. How are you? And I think I got everybody covered so far. I see a lot of chat in here already. Oh, Eagle Rock Railroad's here. Hello, how you doing? And let's see. And that's the only one I missed so far. Let's see if I missed anybody else. Oh, Stormy Rail Productions, how you doing? Good to see you in here. You can all hear me, right? I hope you can hear me. I'm going to turn this on here again. Okay. All right. So how's everybody doing tonight? Okay. Thanks, Eagle Rock. Eagle Creek, thank you for the sound check. And Les, thank you. So I don't have anybody from the cab crew in the basement yet. So hopefully they'll pop in a little while. But just me for tonight, I guess. And so what I've been doing here is working on all my KD couplers on my rolling stock, because what I did was I bought these KD magnets that lay on the top, and what I found is what on the coupler, that part there was hitting it. So what I had to do was check all the heights on the if I can bring this down here, you can see it. And here's the bring this over, yeah, that way. And there's the KD coupler alignment tool. And this one here lines up perfectly. They're perfectly level there. And if I flip it over to the other side, and it's perfectly level there. So this car was good. But some of the other ones, they were either low or too high. So if they were low, what I did was I got these KD, two different kind of washers, 208 and 209. The red ones and the gray ones. The red ones are thicker than the gray ones. And so I put them on. And then I 3D printed some washers. They're a little thicker. And let me get one out of this jar here. And that's what I 3D printed washers. So if it's really, really low, I put one of these on, and then I might need to put one, either a gray one or a red one on to get the height right. And you have to do both ends, because when you lift the one end up, the other end might drop. So you have to check both ends after you check the one. So that's what I've been working on, all because of this yard that I'm putting in. I want to be able to automatically uncouple the cars. I run it over the magnet and then back up the engine, and then it'll uncouple. And then I'll let the switcher come in and pull the cars into the sections of track that they need to go into and stuff like that. So no using a tool to uncouple them or anything like that. I'm going to have several magnets on there. But as I was doing the cars, I said, I'm going to do the engines too. But I got a couple of the engines working okay. But then I looked at another engine, and let me get it. This guy here, I don't know if you're going to see it, but the front end, this piece here rides almost right on top of the rail. It's that low. It's like a microscopic off of the rail, not much. And these magnets sit about 1/64th of an inch above the rail. So what was happening is the coupler I got set up proper, that clears it, but it was hitting the bottom of the engine. So what I did was I ordered a different magnet. It's a KD 309, and that goes under the rail. So all I got to do is cut out a little of my road bed, slide that underneath there, glue it in place, and then these engines will roll over with no problem. But I'm still adjusting all the couplers with this coupling tool on each of these on the engines and on the cars. So I'll just lay that up there. So, but other engines don't have that front end, and it's easy just to fix the coupler with either a different with a one that's either a center set or an upper or lower set. So I have those three different kind of couplers: the upper, center, and lower, and then I just get them all aligned and stuff like that. So this here car is ready to go. So I've been just documenting them all so I know which one is which. I'll just lay it over here for now. And this car here, this is a car I won on Sparky's Christmas show, and it's very low. So the KD couplers are really low. So what I'm going to do with this guy is take the wheels off and put a washer, maybe two washers, to lift up the car, and then that'll lift up the coupler, because the coupler in these you're required to take this apart, and I don't want to mess with that. The couplers are good; they spring back and forth nice on both ends. You know, you have to push it to one side, it should swing back, push it to the other side, swings back. It's just that they're really low. And I think these wheels are 33s, and I might want to change out the wheels to 36s because it sets really low. And so I'm going to play around with that later, and we'll see how that comes out, because that was running up on my third level and it ran fine. And then once I put the cars, the other cars on that consist, then it started having trouble. So, plus this thing isn't weighted down either, so I gotta add some more weight to it. It's pretty light. So, hello, Jim Tedesco. How you doing? Good to see you in here tonight. Um, Anybody else come in that I missed while I was rambling on there? I just wanted to give a quick rant for tonight too. My rant is the drivers in New Jersey are the worst I've ever seen. This morning I left work at 6 a.m. and I didn't get there until after 9 o'clock. And I was going on a 3-lane highway, and about a mile and a half in front of me, ahead of me, three cars collided and two of them flipped over on the roofs. And the highway came to a screeching halt. And I sat there for an hour and a half before they could clear a lane so people could get around. So I was sitting outside the car talking to other people, and we just sat there for an hour and a half. We couldn't move, and it was a mess. Coming home from work at nights, it's anywhere from 2.5 to 3 hours because of accidents, and I get routed all over the place. I just don't understand how these people just don't know how to drive. There's accidents and fire, cars caught on fire. Last week, 3 car fires on the 3 roads that I drive on, which slow down everything because the fire department don't know how to put out a Tesla car fire. All 3 car fires were Teslas, electric cars, sitting in the middle of the road on fire. Fire company just standing around trying to figure out how to put it out, and nobody can go anywhere, and we're just sitting there waiting. So, um, and then they want me to start coming back into the office, and I have to drive all these hours. So I'm going to sit down with the HR department and try to get them to make me a remote worker, because I'm not going to drive 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours on the way home. It's just a nightmare. So, but I'm on vacation now, starting tomorrow for 2 weeks, and then I got to go back to work for 1 week, and then I'm off again for two more weeks. So that'll kind of break it up a little bit. But still, I can't believe every day there's some sort of a problem on the highways, and it's just stupid things. These cars this morning, they were zigzagging. They went past me at over 100, and they were zigzagging, and they must have cut. I didn't see exactly what happened, but all I did was see the aftermath of them rolling on the highway and spinning around, and it was just nuts. But anyway, back to trains. Um, I ordered some Cobol IP digitals um, for my yard for the turnouts, and nobody here in the United States has them. So I said, okay, well, I need 5. So I went on the DCC Concepts website, and they didn't have any in stock either, but I ordered them as back order. 2 days after I placed the order, they must have got stock in, and I get an email saying that they're going to ship it out. So it's now in transit from England to here. I just got notification that it left England and it's coming over. So that's a 6-hour flight from Heathrow to New York. And so it'll be here sometime later in the morning. And then they say a Friday delivery. So I'll be able to get that hopefully and get this yard done. So I want to do some operations up there and do some videos on operations. So that's going to be some real interesting stuff. So am I missing anything here? Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, I saw some of your videos, Sparky. I didn't get a chance to comment on any of them. I was just watching them. But looks like you guys had a good time out there in Colorado. And Heath put up some stuff too. I saw his. So I wish I could have went out there, but work's been just so crazy that I couldn't get the time off that time. So I don't know. But oh, I got in the mail today. I got a little mail call here, little package. This was from Amazon, but they came by the post office. And it was sitting there, and then it finally came. I think it really came from China, and then the post office got it because it came into JFK. So that tells me it came from China. But what they are green, yellow, red LEDs. And these are for the signals that I 3D printed. So I have the LEDs now. I have some 1 millimeter heat shrink. And what I do is I put that on the wires. Let me see if I can get, I have to tear it open to get it out. And that's pretty tight. I need a pair of scissors. But anyway, I put the heat shrink on the wires right up against the bulb. So that, because when I bend them inside the signal, they would touch and then it would short out. So I got that 1 millimeter heat shrink, and then that shrinks down to like a 0.5 millimeter, which is what these wires are, a little bit less than a 0.5 millimeter. So it covers it up pretty good. The ones I put up on the layout already work fine. I need the yellow ones for my masked signals that I made with the red, yellow, and green, and I have them all printed. I just have to put the lights in them, and then I have to paint them and everything, and I have to put them in their positions and stuff. And I made a different type of signal that has 6 LEDs in it. And what I was doing was I was buying these other signals from some place, I don't know where. It was on eBay, I think, and they were 2 round heads on a mask with 3 real tiny LEDs in the center of the view, where the lights come out. And they weren't that expensive, but I said, if I'm 3D printing all my signals, I want to 3D print all the signals that I need from now on. And so I made those, and that's what these LEDs are for them. So I'll put one of them together and set it up and get that working, because that's for the turnouts on the helix that take you into the yard from one end or the other end. I need that signal to, one's for the turnout and then one's for the um, block, to let the train know that it's can go through, or have to go slow with the yellow, or a red can't go through and stuff like that. So um, they'll be set up and wired up and everything. My button board that I made for all the turnouts, I got that done, and I'm just wiring up the buttons now. Um, and I got the process down. I have two different type of turnouts motors on this yard. I got the DCC Concepts IP digitals, and they require a unique wiring to get the button. When I push it, it changes it, and then it changes the color. I needed to get another part to hook that up, and they get connected to that, and that has two 12-volt power supplies on it, and that gives it the power for the LEDs. And then I have the tortoise smalls, and they require um, 6 wires from the small to the panel. And I have a double pole, a single pole double throw toggle switch for the smalls. And inside that toggle is an LED, and it goes green or red. And it has a middle stop point. I can put it in the middle and then it's off. I can toggle it up or toggle it down, and that changes the turnout to whatever direction. And it says green or red, so I know if it's green, it's straight through. If it's red, it's on the diversion track. So, and I got that all that wiring figured out, and it's just a matter of running the wires to um, the rest of the units. I don't know if you can see, this is my drop light that I use, but right here, these are the wires that go to the small. I got this 3-pair wire. It's red, white, and green, and then I run 2 of those from the small down to the button, and then and then I connect it to the right wires. And 2 of the wires go to a 12-volt power supply, and I put a terminal block there, and I put 2 terminal blocks there, one for the black wire, one for the red wire, and the black one's the positive, and the red wire's the negative. And so I just run those wires to the terminal block, screw them in, and then they work. The only thing is, on the board, the panel, I didn't have the orientation of the um, button in the right position. Uh, the green was on the bottom and the red was on the top. I like the green on the top, so I had to take it out, flip it over, and put it up, and put it back in, and got it. So I got it. So now all I got to do is run the rest of the wire. So since I'm on vacation, I'll be able to get a lot of this done, and then I can move on to my subway system, which was the other project I was working on before I had the disaster and the printer's not working. My large 3D printer, the rosin printer, the Anycubic Photon Mono 6X, is now working. I'm still waiting for one more part for it because it has a Wi-Fi component, and that lets me look on my phone to see the status of the job. I can print a job from my phone and stuff like that. So they're sending me a new part, and that's been in transit for 36 days now. I don't know what's going on with the stuff coming across the from wherever it's coming from, and it's just taking forever. The last couple of months seems like everything is taking a long time. I ordered more heat shrink, the 1 millimeter from Wish.com, and they shipped their thing out within 2 days of my order, but it's still in transit, somewhere, sitting on the boat somewhere, I guess. I don't know. So when I get them, and then I can move on and finish up these signals and get them all operational. But it'll look good, and I've still got some more um, buildings to make for the yard that I want to put in place, but it's going to take time. But like I was saying, the Anycubic, the Mono 6X, I printed some more um, flat pieces for the subway, and they came out perfect. So now I know the printer's working again. And what I decided to do was, instead of making the curved tunnel piece and then screwing it up into the under the layout like I was doing, um, a little vibration caused that the top of the tunnel was a little thin, and it cracked, and that's what made that thing come crashing down. That was the video I did on my um, explosion on the subway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the brackets that I made to hold up the flat sections for the stations, and I'm going to use all flat sections all the way around except for the corners. And then I made walls. So I'll have flat walls that'll go right up to the top, and then I'll have them all put in place. This way, if I have a problem, I can just take a section out, work on the section that has a problem, or whatever, a derailment or something like that. With the tunnels that I was making, there's no way I was going to get inside there. So this will make it better if there's a problem down the road. So once I get, I printed them, and with the rosin printer, you need two pieces of equipment that doesn't come with the printer. One, you need paper towels, and two, you need rubber gloves. So I have the rubber gloves, but I ran out of paper towels. I got one big box from Amazon with the ones that pull out, and they're the blue ones, and that's what I was using, because I have to wipe off the bill plate, and I spray it with some alcohol and then wipe it off to clean it before I use it again. So I had to order some more of those, and they'll be here on Friday from Amazon. So so now, like I said in my video, I have 3 printers going, and the 4th printer I have is still sitting on the table, not working yet, and I got to figure out what I'm going to do. But on the subway system, I'm going to make the corners. I was going to do flat pieces, and I had Jim Tedesco help me with making a corner, and he did some work on Tinkercad, and we got it to go around the corner. So I got a corner piece now, and that's a 15-hour print. So I'll need probably 3, maybe 4 of those per corner. So I'm going to make one of them um, probably in the next couple of days after I get the supplies I need to take um, the models out of the printer. I don't want to touch it with my bare hands because rosin and your skin don't work together well. So um, that's all I have for that. And let's see. Oh, I know what I wanted to show you guys. Let me do a little presentation here. I found some photos of one of the layouts I did back in 1978. And you're going to notice something in this photo. Let's see here. Present, share screen, share screen, my window, this one here, share. Okay. And you all can see that now. Okay. Those there engines are the ones that I sent to Jason, the train freak, to work on putting decoders in. But that was back in 1978, and that was my layout. When I was married for a couple years, and we lived in a house on the second floor. We had the second floor, and the attic was open. So I asked the guy who lived downstairs, he was our landlord, if I could use the attic. And he says, sure, no problem. Use whatever you want for it. So he let me use it. And I built this huge layout up there. The house was, I want to say, that room was about 25 wide by 40 feet deep. So let's go to the next image. How do I do that here? Hide this. Let me go here. No, let's see. I can click on this now. Okay, that's another shot. That was all plaster of Paris, and that stuff was a mess to work with. The stuff they have nowadays is so much nicer. But I had two main lines, and then up on the top there was another line. If we go to this picture, that's another view. Get an idea of how deep that was and how long that was, and it went all the way around and up and down on the bottom there. And then this one was another view. There's a tunnel that I put together. And then the last photo I found, that was my panel for the layout. Remember the turnouts with the 3-wire? That's what all these were. And I had a lot of turnouts, and then this on there, on below those was the track plan, and I had some lights there to tell me where the train was. These were toggle switches to turn on and off the track power, toggle switches for turning on and off lights and stuff. Down the bottom, there was another track plan there, and lights and stuff on that panel. Those two round objects on the panel, they were two variable transformers that I bought, and they ran the train. And I had two different tracks, and that was DC then. There wasn't no DCC at that time. So that's that was a big thing I had. Then when we moved, then I had to tear that all down, and that was a disheartening thing. But so I know what it's like to have a layout and then tear it down. I never got to do any of the landscaping or anything like that. I just had trains running at that time. But that's just wanted to show you that. So I'm going to stop sharing now. and I minimize this on my screen. So that was my first layout that I did on my own. Um, when I was born 23 days before Christmas in 1955. And so my dad bought me a train set for Christmas. And of course, he played with it more than I did because I didn't have a chance to play with it. But the idea was once I was old enough to take care of it, then I took care of it. So I had my first train set when I was about 3 weeks old. And so he put it up and did the nice 4x8 layout and had two trains running. And we had a power pack that had dual controls on it. I had that power pack for a real long time. Then it finally just burned out. So um, some old memories. I was just going through some photos and I came across them, and it was pretty funny how I said, "Hey, look at that! There's my layout from way back when." So let's see. Oh yeah, well, I didn't know there was DCC then. I just had DC, but that was a long time ago, and it, those trains ran really good on that layout, but had to tear it down because we moved from there. We moved into my parents' house for a year. We were saving up our money to build a house, and we did that. And then in 1980, we moved into our first house that I built. So that was way back then, long time ago. But oh, hi, Possum Bayou. How you doing? Glad to see you in here tonight. And Mike, Trackside Mike, how you doing? Keep it on the tracks. So um, we're just, I was just playing around with the disc that I had, and I opened it up and I said, "Hey, this folder, what is in here?" And then I had called archive, and then I looked in there, and then there was all the photos that I took, and I said, "Oh, there's my train." So I said, "I'm going to show them to everybody." It just brought back some memories. So I've been in trains for a long time, and when I got this house, that was one of the first things I decided to start doing. So it's good to have those kind of memories, I guess. So let's see, what else can I talk about tonight? Um, Talked about 3D printing. Talked about my couplers. And talked a little bit about the yard. Showed the photos. Um, Let me put in the link, a link if anybody wants to come up and join me. I will copy this and put it in here. I just posted the link. Anybody wants to come up, they're more than welcome to come up, and we can chat. Um, let's see some cartwheels, Tom. No, I never did any cartwheels. I was just to fall over when I tried to do that. Let's add to the stream.
Hey, what's happening?
Hey, Randall, how you doing?
Oh, doing pretty good. Getting ready to go on a little trip.
Yeah, yeah, you
Yeah,
got a job. You got a job
Yeah,
tonight?
I gotta go pick up a crew at Kabul.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's always busy, aren't you?
Yeah, Wednesdays are generally pretty slow, but usually towards the end of the week and the weekend, it goes pretty wild. So, so
Yeah, let's see. How long it takes to bring you up on there. Let's see. Hi, Serena. How you doing? And I have you on. And I don't see you on the YouTube channel yet. It's way behind. So,
I'm gonna have
yeah.
to step out of the van for just a second. So,
Yeah, okay. There you are. Okay. Yeah. Randall had to step out for a minute. He'll be back in a while. Yeah. So it's an interesting day. How's the weather everywhere? Well, here in New Jersey, it was in the 70s today here, and it was pretty good.
it's been in the 80s here.
Yeah, yeah. We had it's supposed to go up to 80 tomorrow, and it was 70s today, and it was pretty clear, but a little cloudy. And this weekend is supposed to be pretty nice too, I guess. Uh, I'm glad I'm not going to work tomorrow. I'm working from home tomorrow because tomorrow starts everybody going. It's for the Memorial Day weekend. They start traveling tomorrow, so the roads are going to be really crowded.
Yeah,
Yeah, uh, uh,
yeah. There's water back there. So,
yeah, yeah. So it's always something else. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, they didn't call anything all day, and now they decided to call everybody out at once. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I ordered this tool from Yankee Doppler. It's coming tomorrow. It's one that Jim Tedusco told me about. It's a wheel tuner, and I'm going to see how that works. And I don't have any trouble with my cars, but the couplers sometimes hit um, the turnouts. When those rails that go this way and that way, sometimes they hit it, and the crossovers they hit. So I aligned all those cars up, and I'm going to test that out next time I run the train and make sure that everything looks good. So it's going to be interesting to see. So it's always interesting to see how that thing works. But it's going to be interesting. But you know, it's been crazy, busy.
yeah.
To type. Yeah, and so I was uh, glad to get my wiring done on this panel, and it was really complicated to get it all done. But now I had a diagram that I wrote out, and now I have that sitting there on the floor when I run the wires, and I know which one to plug into what. It makes it a lot easier. But oh, Ron Mullins in here. Hi, Ron. How you doing? Good to see you in here,
It's
Ron.
it's been pretty good for the past month or two. Of course, they've been doing a lot of maintenance over that
Yeah,
time period. So,
yeah. So, how many calls did you get today there, Randall?
This is my first trip of the day.
Yeah, first trip. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a very long one. Kabul's only about 50 miles from here, so.
Yeah. 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 I don't know if you heard my story. I had a 3-hour
Uh,
drive. Yeah, to get to work.
oh, man.
Yeah, it's only it's like 80 miles from my house to work, but
Yeah.
it should only take me like an hour and 10 minutes to get there normally. But there's always an accident on the highway, and then that slows everybody
Oh,
down.
yeah.
Yeah, there's always accidents on those highways that I drive
I,
on.
I've been there and done that. So
Yeah,
sometimes when I go down there at Memphis, they
yeah.
like to
Hey,
crash through that bridge and they block everything. So
yeah. So let's see what's DV Tech. Hey DV Tech. Hey Dave, how you doing? He's in here tonight, and so yeah. So it's. Oh, look who just came in. I'm going to bring up Mr. Artie here.
Howdy doody, everybody. How are we all?
hey, Artie.
Hey, Artie, how you doing?
Yeah, having fun with idiots.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
Let's
I'm
see.
here.
Let's see. Change this view here.
Hi, everybody in the chat.
Yeah, hello, Chad.
Yeah,
Well, it says it's 82 degrees. I'm going by the radio station up here, and
yeah,
that's what their signs got. So,
yeah,
Now, what is it here? Hang on, let me have a look. Uh,
yeah,
it's 60 at the moment, but we're expecting some cold winds later on this afternoon. So from the south, so it's going to drop quite substantially.
yeah,
You see the snow clouds in the horizon.
yeah. There's a big delay between StreamYard and YouTube tonight.
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you are. Okay. And I changed the view. See if it shows up on YouTube. Yeah. So what are you up to, Artie?
I went out and sorted that stuff out with starting with W. To see if I'm going to be going back to work in mid July. It doesn't look good. So it looks like I've got to take option B, which will be going across the country to the other side, which may take me away from home and everything else that I've been doing so far. So
Yeah.
it's not looking good. G'day, James. How are you, bud? I haven't seen that other video yet. I'll have a look at it soon. I'm waiting for the postman to come. He's bring me some more bits and pieces. It should be turning up soon.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just running around.
Yeah. Did you get a new 3D printer yet?
No, I haven't had a chance yet. There's been a lot of other things that's been taking up a lot of my time at the moment. So, in due time, I'll get another one. I'll just sort out the back room at the moment. I'll be moving that about as much as I can because I've got to do a bit of work on the layout there and rearrange that. And once I rearrange that, I'll because everything's going to be pretty much laid out permanently, I'll be able to give it a permanent home. I don't have to move it anymore. G'day, Mike. It's Trackside Mike Wigwag. Yeah, so once I get that sorted out, I can give it a permanent home, and then you know what? I just don't want to keep moving things around. Sorry. Yeah, I just see you come in. You can go and play now. Go on, bugger off.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's the rabbit.
Yeah, you know what I found? You know, Luke Cowan, he printed a subway car that is an engine. He 3D printed it, and he found the file on Thingiverse, and then he modified it, and it looks really great. So I downloaded the Thingiverse file, but he said that in his video, if you want my STL files for free, he said it's on his website. So I went on his website. I couldn't find him, so I emailed him, and I'm waiting for his response. So see if he responds. But it was a nice. It was a nice. It was a nice car. It really looked good.
Well, see, over here in Sydney, we use our double deckers as trains. They do become subway cars as well.
Yeah.
There was a file on, I think it was Thingiverse or the other one, where someone has actually made the double deckers for this state here, or the ones in Sydney. Yeah. Yes, we wag P platers. Yeah, they are. P platers means they're professional. Privileged, because they got their license. They can do whatever they want. And you got red and green. It depends on how long you had your license for. Yeah, they stick out, and you know that when you need them, they're in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to try printing that too.
There is another one. There is another one that's free on Thingiverse, and it's a one of the Melbourne suburban carriages that they use in the suburban lines in the underground, and it's a 3-car set.
Yeah.
And I actually was looking at the video last night actually. The guy, actually, he'd done it on a 3D resin printer.
Right.
And put it together and used a little spud motor and then converted it into DCC.
Mm-hmm.
It came up pretty good.
He got that little wheels that have a motor in it. And then he took it apart and he grounded down the tabs, and then he was able
you've seen it, have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an Australian guy. Yeah, he's pretty good. I mean, I actually got a little rail motor that's got the same motor in it. Now I know how I can convert that. Well, I've got to rebuild it, but now I know how to convert that into DCC, because it's got the same motor in it, you see.
Yeah. Well, like on my subway system, I have 2 tracks, and I just have one subway train right now. And I said, I'm going to need another one. And I said, I can 3D print them and make my second subway train, and then they'll both go around and stuff like that. So that's going to be
That's what I'm going to venture to do with mine, because mine's mainly going to be passengers on mine, and have suburban trains up to so far.
Yeah, I'm going to try to print it on my Viper and see how the film comes out. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I might do is, he said he painted it silver, and what I might do is I might get silver film it. Then I won't have to paint it. It's silver already. You know.
Well, let me know how you go with it, because I've got silver film in here that I still unopened, and that's why I bought it, because I was going to do that and do some of the coal hoppers that we had here. And that's why I got the silver filament. But of course, the 3D printer messed up, and I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But I will have another. I mean, there are some stainless steel carriages that I've seen on Thingiverse that will actually. What's that other cup? What's that other one? Let me have a look.
Yeah, I downloaded that file too, and I saw that it was right underneath that one that he had. There was two passenger car things. So I downloaded that, and I'm going to see what they look like, and I can print them out too. So
Yeah. The other site I looked at was Colts.
yeah,
CULTS.
yeah,
They got a fair few files in there as well. And I think that's where Jim Tedesco got the
yeah.
Amphicast.
Yeah, he was. He did say that he needed Luke's STL file link. Yes, and I hope he responds, because I put two messages on his video and asked him if he could send me the STL files via an email. Then I was able to find his website, and then it said contact him, and boom, I put it in there too. So at least he has my email address now. So we'll see if that if he sends back an email to me with the file, because he modified his and he did something to him. I was watching him, on the side. I was trying to watch that and do something else at the same time, and he showed how he did it in the Anycubic um, program, which I have the same one. And but the Viper, you have to use Cura, and that's a little different. But the Photon workshop program that you get with Anycubic, they had a new version out. And I downloaded that, and that fixes STL files automatically. Like before, I said you needed to have that 3D um, viewer program on your computer, which it comes with, and you bring it in there and you click import, and the file comes up. And if it has errors, it puts a red box around it, and then you hit prepare, and it would prepare the file for you. But now you don't have to do that with the Anycubic workshop. They do it automatically for you, so it fixes the file. Now, I noticed in Cura, if the file has an error, when you drag it over into Cura, it says file has errors. Then I stop, delete it, go back and fix it, and then bring it back in again. Because if it has errors in it, you don't know what the printout's going to look like.
Yeah, and half the time you don't even know what the errors are. It takes you a while, especially if you're a newbie. It takes you a while to work out what the error is.
Yeah, you don't know what the error is, but they just repair the file, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know what the errors are, but probably when you download the file, maybe a bit got dropped off or something, and now it made the file just a little bit out of whack or something like that. So
Yeah.
there's all kinds of possibilities. Now, maybe the way the person saved the STL file, it didn't save it properly. Who knows? When they copy up to the site, anything can happen. So best to check them. I always check every file out before I print them. Like I download from Thingiverse, and you get a whole bunch of little files in a file. Then I export them out, and then I bring them into my 3D object program, and then boom, 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 I do each one. No errors, fine. Error, prepare, save it, and boom. And then everything prints.
That was like a couple of files I looked at before. It was the same too. It's like there was one file in particular I'd done for a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And when I initially opened up, it was all right, but when I went to do it again, it found errors in the file. If you look,
right, you just put a link to Luke's files.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But at the moment, all I'm worried about at the moment is trying to get the track laid. The parcel I got coming today has got the what's his name? I'm using the KD's electric magnetic uncoupler in the central station area for the passenger trains. I'm not having a permanent magnets underneath on a couple of platforms. The reason being is in the operation side of it, when the diesel hauled engines come in, I do want to uncouple the engine at the front of it so it separates from the passenger train, and the passenger cars get pulled out. But then when you hook everything up together, because of lengths and everything else, if you stop the train on the wrong spot where the uncoupler is, the passenger cars are uncoupled.
Yeah.
Right. So if I do the electric uncoupler, remote uncoupler, it will solve that issue from the passenger trains from uncoupling.
Yeah, well, I have one of those. I think it's a KD 309, and that's the one that's electric. And, yeah. I have that.
I need 4, but I only managed to get 1. Believe it or not, in the whole country, there's only 1 available. So I'm doing a shopping list.
Yeah, because I have a button on my layout, and I have an LED there, and when I push the button, the LED comes on for 30 seconds, and that stays active for only 30 seconds. Because I put a buckboard there, and I have a little circuit there for that whole thing. That way, it's not left on permanently. It only stays on for 30 seconds. So
right, Tammy.
if you can't uncouple a car in 30 seconds, then you got a problem.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a raised platform. So my usual, even that little portable, I think Micromarks sells them the little uncoupler. But of course, with the diaphragms on the passenger trains, you can't get it in between the carriages to uncouple. But having a platform in the way, it's going to make it even harder. I lost my track of thought what I was going to say.
It's difficult to get that thing down in there to uncouple. Yeah.
But there was another. Here we go again. The other thing I want to do is look in, because I've got a train automation program. I've got to work out what NC accessory would actually, or what I could use to operate to operate those uncouplers. Because with the automation program that I have, it actually does that. You can have the trains uncouple automatically and do all the switching operations automatically as well, if you wish. So I'm going to work out how to do that later on down the track. But right now, my first priority is getting everything done in the corner. Yes, I did. I'm going to leave it for the weekend show. I'm going to show people on the weekend. James, I did. It did come in yesterday, so I've got it here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we got somebody else in the basement here. I'm going to bring him up. Hold on. Hey, Pedro, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you? How's everybody?
Yeah, we're still alive.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
you. I can hear your lips moving.
Okay. I am at. Make sure.
So the I'm going to be doing the uncouplers by taking the magnet and then bump it a little bit, and then it'll uncouple, and then I can push it back and do that. So I'm going to try it and see how that all works out in the yard anyway, because those 309s, you have to actually cut a hole in the board. It has to be underneath, and thing is like, I don't know, maybe that big.
Yeah.
Right. And you have to cut out, and then the thing drops down. So
Well, with this one that's coming now, because I know the locations where I'm going to be, because I don't want to do any cutting inside. When I get this electromagnet, I can at least cut out the hole where I'm going to put them. And when I can get a hold of it, I'll be able to put the magnet in its place, because the ballasting is going to be done way down the track. The thing's got to run first,
right.
flawlessly, before I do any ballasting or any scenery on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting some because there's going to be a fair bit. I've been thinking about, because there's going to be a lot of tunneling on my layout, and we all know, like, when you have tunnels, the trains disappear.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've been thinking about doing, and I'm experimenting with it at the moment, but geez, I wish the sun will stay out for another couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've done is I've got some scrap white storm drains. You know, the big white pipes, poly pipes, PVC pipes. And what I'm doing is I'm actually bending the PVC pipe permanently in the radius, so I can actually have the track in it. And the wall of the PVC pipe, right, will be basically the wall inside of a tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
So I can actually see the train still running, and you got like a cutout of a tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
So you still see the train going spiraling up the mountain without being hidden away. So that's what I'm working. That's a little project I'm experimenting with.
Mm-hmm.
But the weather's not been nice. It's been cold.
Yeah. Well, what I'm doing for my subway system, I'm using the clear rosin, and you can see through it. You know, so.
So you guys are talking about 3D printing. Check this out. Cooling tower.
Yeah, condensers.
One of the guys in the NMRA 3D printed this for me.
That's it. You're kicked out. You're kicked off the show. That's it. Don't want to know you anymore, Pedro.
You know what? This guy is so good. He has a laser cutter. Can you see the wood in there?
Yeah.
There's actual wood inside of there. And if I could get the light angle right, I don't know if I can, you can actually see the fans in there too.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Yep. I see it.
Have you ever seen one of them close up?
I used to work at chemical plants. I used to maintenance these things.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I know all about them darn things. So I mean, that looks. Now I'm gonna get some paint because it's too dark. I'm gonna get some real light gray paint. Look like it's been bleached out. I'm gonna run some another line right here, and I'm gonna put a pump house next to it. Right. So I used to actually change the chemicals in these. At one plant I worked up here, the top of it was open, and there was a weir system, and it had little holes. So by being outside, leaves and stuff would fall in there and stop it from working properly. So one of our jobs was to go up there and clear those holes so that it could work properly. And then another plant I worked at, it was a huge cooling tower. It had 3 big fans on top of it, and it didn't have the louvers on the side. It was just smooth, and you could see all the wood inside. Well, hell, in the wintertime, icicles would form on that thing. And we used to have to go out there with long poles and knock them off. You're talking about a dangerous freaking job, man.
Right.
I hated doing it. But the thing about it, that was a coal gasification plant. And the coolest the water got in that cooling tower was 100 degrees. That was cold for the operation, you know, because we were dealing with temperature. The reactor was 700 something degrees. The exchangers were like 300 something degrees. So 100 degrees was cool. You know? So yeah, I worked around these suckers a lot, man.
Yeah. That's what the ones down here, the steelworks, the steel plant nearby here. They use, I think there's 6 of those towers for the continuous caster they got there, because we do continuous slab steel down here. And I was involved in doing the construction of the new cooling towers. That's and we got two of them on top of the cooling towers for the new blast, or not new, but for the revamp of the blast furnace. Because what they're doing now is they're actually, when your slag's coming out, they're water blasted. And by water blasting, what it does is it turns it into granulated slag.
Mm-hmm.
And what they do with the granulated slag now, they use it for making cement. They use it on the roads. And the other thing they use it for is making glass.
Yes. See, the coal gasification plant that I went to, we I don't know if you know about gasification. We did. Okay, so you know about it. So the same thing, we had a tap hole inside the reactor, and the hot coal slag went down in there. We ground it up. There was two big grinders underneath of it. They use it for aggregate, like you said, for roads, for roofing tar and stuff like that. And we would strip the sulfur out of the gas. So we made syngas that went over to power in a steam turbine to make electricity. And we stripped the sulfur out of it. And the sulfur went to a tank, kept it hot, and then we put it in tank cars and they shipped it out. So we used to make 1,600 pounds steam. So the gas operated the steam turbine, or the gas turbine, I'm sorry, and then the 1,600 pound steam operated the steam turbine. So it was basically a coal generation plant.
Yeah. Down in our plant down in here, they were actually in the process of doing a new power station. I don't know. I think they might be got the go ahead now to do it. But a lot of the gases, like you know yourself, Pedro, like in heavy industry like that, you get a lot of byproducts and a lot of biogases, even though it's gone through the furnace. But what the Blue Scope Steel or BHP Billiton's looking at doing down here is building a plant where it continually uses up the gas until it's basically just oxygen and it just tosses it out in the air. So what you see coming out the stack is basically pure air again. It's not going to be your gas has been burnt off in the atmosphere. So they are working on it, on making it cleaner.
That's what this one's supposed to have been. It didn't get to the point where you were talking about because everything was supposed to be recycled.
Yeah.
But when they tried to do that, like especially with the water, it was so harsh that it was eating up the condensers and stuff inside. So we used to have to treat the water. They hadn't got to the point where you're talking about getting yet. It was a dangerous plant. I worked there 6 years and I got out of there. I was there one Sunday, quick story. I was there one Sunday whenever we came off of syngas and we were going back to running natural gas, we had a procedure. And at this point, I had moved from the control room to work outside. I just wanted to get outside for a while. I'm up on the 4th deck of this 9-story structure and got my radio. They asked me to go adjust the valve. So I adjust the valve. I'm standing there and I'm about 30, 40 feet away from the reactor, but I'm way up in the air, right? So I'm waiting for the next call to tell me that they either needed another adjustment or they didn't. Next thing you know, boom! I look out the side of the structure. There's black smoke, sparks. The sucker exploded. What happened, one of the burners blew out. They were trying to relight it on natural gas, okay? Procedure says they're supposed to come over the intercom, attention in the plant, we are getting ready to relight the reactor, clear the 4th and 5th deck. No one made the announcement. I was still up there. They come running out of the building screaming, looking for me. Yeah, they come out there looking. I'm trying to call them on the radio. It is so loud, they couldn't hear me. So I'm looking down, and I see them coming out of the building. I'm yelling. They still don't see me. So I walk away because the stairway was going back towards the reactor. So I go over to a drum ladder, and I go all the way down. I'm 6'11" now, and I'm squeezing up in this drum ladder going down. I make it all the way to the ground. It just so happened the plant manager was there. It was a bright Sunday afternoon. Plant manager was in the plant. He comes running in there. So what happened? Were you trying to relight? My supervisor said, yeah. Oh man, I immediately got pissed. I didn't throw him under the bus. I waited till the plant manager left. I walked up. I said, all right, you didn't make an announcement. He goes, what? You did not make an announcement. He goes, well, you knew we were going to relight. Hell yeah, I knew you were going to relight, but you didn't tell me when. He goes, I'm sorry, bud. That's all he said. Oh, I wanted to strangle that sucker. If I'd have walked towards that thing, it would have blew me right off that damn structure, man.
Yeah, he would have went flying. Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah. Pissed me off, man. I got the heck out of there.
I worked in the steel plant, and when we were doing number 5 blast furnace, and we were doing that cooling tower like what you have, right next to number 5 blast furnace, we got this slag pit for the basic oxygen smelter, or we call it the BOS here. So you can imagine, like when it's raining, you get these big pots of slag that comes out the furnace, and they dump it in the pit.
Yeah.
Now, we all know that they're about to tip the pot because you've got sirens going off. So you try to be alert the best way you possibly can. And I don't know if Les is still here. He worked in that area too. He'd know what I'm talking about. But there was one time we were working there. I was on the excavator. Thank God I had the boom was just the way I was sitting. The machine was sitting. I was safe. But the pot emptied out onto a puddle of water. So you can imagine, like you got molten slag, really hot, on water. What happens to the oxygen? Burns out. You get hydrogen. Next minute,
boom,
boom,
boom.
I tell you what, it wasn't going like that. It wasn't just like that. It was
that pucker factor, huh?
Oh.
So that's how you lost all your hair, Artie?
Hey? Yeah. Oh man, and we just had boulders and rocks flying everywhere. Like it sounds stupid. I was wearing a stack hat, and always the one that how dumb it is to wear the stack hat while inside the machine on the excavator. There was a crane working about 100 feet away, 200 feet away. He got the big one.
Mm-hmm.
He came through the cabin.
Oh wow!
And I'm like, whoa, okay. It cut a couple of more hoses on the excavator, but I tell you what, did we got frightened that day? That's the polite way of putting it on YouTube.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, but it was a lot of skip bucks in a lot of underwear.
Yeah.
Is Randall still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Hey, you mentioned Kabul. Are you in Missouri?
Yes, sir.
So you know where Bolivar, Missouri is then?
I haven't been to Bolivar, but I've been the furthest north I've been as far as working is Springfield.
Okay, Bolivar is like 25 miles north of Springfield. I went to college there,
Okay.
Southwest Baptist College.
That's cool.
Yeah, played basketball there. So you down in that
That's
woods
cool.
around, yeah. Wow.
Actually, I need to get down.
Yeah.
I've got to get down near the steelworks because we got a new hydrogen plant being built down in here by steelworks, which will be making the hydrogen for the steel plant and for basically for the country, really. Because we don't have tanker cars here. We haven't had them since mid 90s. We do not have hazardous goods like gas, propane, crude oil. We don't have that going by rail. It all goes by pipeline. And at the moment, in the area, they're doing a big new hydrogen pipeline. It's going to be linking up all the main capital cities on the East Coast. So I need to go over there and get photos of it. And it's going to be something new. It's a new next big thing, but where they're doing a hydrogen plant, that used to be the old coal loader, the original coal loader where they used to bring the old coal trains from. from around the area. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going with it.
Well, I know before I left that coal gasification plant, I was there in the summertime. The plant was down. It was a weekend. No one else was there. So I took my camera in and I took pictures of everything just as a memory, you know. Haven't showed them to anyone except some of the other guys that used to work there, but I still got plants for the memory of it. You know, I mean, pictures for the memory of it.
I lost a lot of photos from inside the steelworks before it got redone. Unfortunately, I lost all those photos. But I have managed to locate some. But when we were redoing, when we worked on number 5 blast furnace in 93, 94, and when we first started doing the slag sand, we call it slag sand here up number 1 works with number 2 blast furnace, which is gone now. The only thing you see on number 2 blast furnace is basically the bottom foundations. They stopped about chopping that up because it has got the old asbestos in it. But yeah, I've got to try to get in there somehow because the old number 1 works has still got some tracks in there, and I want to record it because they're going to revamp the old number 1 works area back to the way the ground used to look before the steel plant was put in there. Because part of the agreements and whatnot they have here in this country, a lot of big industry like the steelworks and the mines, they've got to rehabilitate the land back to the way it was before they commenced.
Yeah, they're supposed to do that with strip mines here in Indiana. Where the coal gasification plant was next to a coal burning plant. And I used to watch, at that time, it was, there were still Sioux Line trains coming in. I think Indiana Railroad, if that plant's still running, would supply them now. The bridge came across the Wabash River. They had a long run that went straight up and just dead end. And then they would shove all the rail cars back into the power plant. And then power plant had a couple yard switchers. They would move the hopper cars. These were all bottom discharge. So they had the shaker that would come down on top and rattle it to get all the coal out, and then it go over to the big pile, and they had the big bulldozers to spread it out. The whole idea for that coal gasification plant was to burn high sulfur Indiana coal. Okay. Yeah. And it did. But then they did a test and they brought pet coke down from the oil refineries up north around Chicago, wherever the heck it was at. That plant ran better on pet coke than it did coal. It would be like the equivalent of you driving down the highway with your foot to the floor of whatever kind of car you're driving, but the same operation on pet coke, your foot would be this far up off the pedal. I mean, it just Cadillac with that. But the contract said they had to burn Indiana coal. So they never could really just decide to burn pet coke to make electricity. It would have ran a lot better if they could have.
See, with lava coal from our area here, it's got a very high ash and very high tar content. So the byproduct, like when they produce the coke down here, they get a lot of ash from it, which is fantastic for making cement out of. And the tar, a lot of the roads that we have around here that lasted all these years was the actual tar from the actual coal. Now they're using the tar or bitumen that they're using is the waste product from crude oil, and it doesn't last as long. G'day, Anthony. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of our trains that runs here on the Thayer sub, they come out of the Powder River Basin.
Oh wow! Okay.
So That includes this train I'm fixing to get the crew off of now. So
we got an old mine here between my place, or between Sydney and Canberra. We call the Argyle mine. There was two things that they mined from there. They mined, well, three things. They did not use the clay out of it. They used the limestone out of it, but the biggest thing they mined out of there was diamonds. But because
Hey, how you doing?
there's nothing there, and it's a big deep hole. I mean, it's a deep hole. It goes probably about 1,500 feet, if not more, to the bottom. And it's a big hole. I do have photos of it somewhere. But, of course, now they've got to rehabilitate it, and there's still the railway line in there. Sydney's got problems with space for landfill. Excuse me, for the trash coming out of Sydney. So now they got, I think it's 1 or 2 trains a day that goes from Sydney to the Argyle mine and filling it all back up with trash. And the overburden they done when they strip mined it originally, that's going to go all the way back over the top. And by the time they finish with it, they reckon it's going to take them about 40 years, 50 years till they fill it. It's going to be back to the way it was.
You know, I was just thinking while you were talking about that, Sydney. Years ago, I watched a video on public broadcasting over here. I guess it was made by the BBC, and it was called The Long Straight. It's a train that ran from Sydney all the way to the opposite side.
To Perth, yeah.
Yes, the Perth. It's a 500-mile stretch of straight track. Yeah. I guess, every minute or less than that, he has to push a dead man switch or the train to stop?
They still do.
Wow. That's amazing.
They still do.
500 straight miles of track.
And I tell you what, the only thing that changes every now and then is a few little raises, but it's dead. I mean, the longest straight in the one level goes for about 80 miles, 70 miles. Just dead straight, dead level. And I tell you what, I've been on train once, but by road next to it, like taking tyres and supplies and whatnot to a lot of the towns, which is now gone, like particularly Cook. But also we used it as a shortcut to get away from the scalies of the DOT. We were overloaded with our road trains. We used to run them right next to the railway line.
Wow.
Because there was a dirt track. And a lot of it, especially now during the dry season, we were able to do it. But the DOT and they got onto us and they buggered up the track, so we can't use it anymore.
But, you know, as videos go, excuse me, they all hit different human interests and all this stuff, right? So the guy who was narrating, who was actually on the trip, he got off of, I don't know if it was halfway the trip or whatever, and he went north. And he said it's the slowest train on Earth or something like that.
The original GAN line was the slowest train on Earth. The original GAN, not the new GAN.
So you know that crazy joke about it?
What
said the the woman was getting the conductor. She says, "I need to get off the train. When are we gonna be?" You know what I'm talking about? I'll probably mess it up.
That's not a joke. That's a true fact. That's no joke. That's a true fact. It actually happened.
Come on, man.
It did.
Anyway, for the rest of them, all right. She
Yeah,
said, "I need to get off the train." So we can't stop the train. I need to get off or something like this. When's the next town? Well, he said, we got a long way to go before we get to the next town. I'm sorry, I need to get off the train. What is the matter? He said, I'm pregnant. Is it the one you heard?
Yep.
I said, I'm pregnant. Well, ma'am, you knew you were pregnant before you got on the train. She goes, I wasn't pregnant when I got on the train.
Yep. Yep. There is if anyone ever has a chance to come over here and drive, you get yourself a four-wheel drive, and you go and drive on the Unadata. We call it the Unadata track, and the Unadata track takes you pretty much alongside the original GAN line. Now, sadly, a lot of those townships and whatnot is almost gone. There's still some resemblance of the old rail lines and the old stations along the way, but their biggest problem that they had were washouts.
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
And that's, look, even though they turned that into a joke, that did actually happen.
Mm-hmm.
That did actually happen on the train, but they turned it into a joke. And the way the story's been told, it's actually funnier than what it actually was. But yeah, because they kept on pestering. And when are we going to get to the next town? The train's been stopped. It's going so slow. The new GAN line between Port Augusta and Alice Springs have been diverted again, but they redone it when they were doing the Alice Springs to the Darwin link, because that was a missing link there. And they diverted because there was one portion there where the line used to get washed away as well, but they redone it. So far, there was a little bit of washaways last couple of years, but not as bad as what it used to be.
Wow.
But I mean, we had last 2 years, 2.5 years, we had that much rain here. I have not seen that much rain since 96. Last time we've seen this much rain, 96 to 98 was last time we had this much rain. But it's a cycle.
Yeah.
You know, now things are slowly starting to settle down, and as you might be aware, Anthony and Joyce most probably be coming around here to Australia next year, and they'll still be coming here at the right time. But now we're going to be starting to go into our dry season. So if anybody wants to see the Nullarbor going across where Pedro was talking about, now's a good time to see the greenery there. It's nice and green. The wildlife, the birds, it's abundant with it. It's full of life at the moment. But when it comes to the dry season, it goes the opposite. It all goes dead. You know, different colour. Catch a train going across to Perth, but then you drive back. Because with the train to Perth, you're going on the inland, pretty much through the middle of the desert. But when you come back, you halt. You know how you got the bite of the Australia? You pretty much follow the bottom coastline. And you got different scenery again.
Okay.
My stepdad worked on that line back in 65, 66. He worked on that railway line, my stepdad. And he also worked on the new GAN line, and he was based in Port Augusta. And he was telling me a lot of stories and the things that they used to do. And I took him back there 13 years ago, 14 years ago, I took him across. Because he kept on talking about one of the old pubs at Port Augusta, and they had a house in the yard there. I took him down there to show him, and he's like, it's all changed. I go, yeah, well, yeah. When was that? When was the last time you were here? Back in what, 67? Things do change.
So, Tom, you say you're in Jersey?
Yeah, I live in New Jersey, yes.
What part of Jersey you in?
It's a town called Phillipsburg. It's right on.
Okay, I grew up in Philly, so how far are you from there?
Philadelphia is 58 miles from my house.
58?
Yeah, north of Philly, and I'm
okay.
60 miles from New York City. So I'm in the middle, between those two big cities.
Yeah, I grew up in Germantown area of Philadelphia. We moved away in 74.
Yeah.
So I've been out in the Midwest since then.
Yeah.
58 miles, that's only up the road.
Yeah, it is. Not far at all.
Yeah.
For some of the ones in the outback, that's going to the front letterbox, to the mailbox at the front. That's a small property.
The high school that I went to, our football team has they just got their 800th win last year, so it's building up. So like my dad played for them back in let's see, what year did he graduate? 1947.
I'll be back in a
48.
minute, guys. The wind's here. I'm going to have to secure a few things at the back. I'll be back in a
Yeah,
minute.
okay, yeah. And he played with a guy that Jim Ringo played on the team, and he went to the Green Bay Packers, and he played
Oh
there.
yeah.
Yeah, and he was a professional, and he's in the Hall of Fame. And
Cool.
yeah, so we had a lot of stuff like that. And then my ex-wife's uncle used to coach at Syracuse University, and we went up there for a funeral for one of the coaches one day, and I got to meet Larry Zonka, Jim Kick, and who's the other, and Floyd Little.
Yeah.
They all went to Syracuse, and so they were there for the funeral too. I got to meet those three guys. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
We had a couple guys that were ahead of me in high school. Willie Sojourner, I think he was either 6'10", maybe 7 foot. He lived around the corner from me. He played with Dr. J when he was with the New Jersey Nets.
Yeah.
And his brother, Michael Sojourner, played college basketball at Utah, and he played for the Atlanta Hawks for a while.
Yeah.
I got a couple looks professionally, but it didn't pan out. Like I said, I'm 6'11". Played college ball, stuff like that, but it didn't pan out. Wasn't one of the fortunate ones. So
yeah. Well, I played. Well, I didn't play. I went to USC on a baseball scholarship, and I played. I was on the team, but I didn't play one inning. And that year, they were national champions, and I would have got a ring if I would have played one inning. And I didn't get a chance to play one inning. I was a shortstop, and they recruited like 6 other shortstops. I thought I was great. You know, I had a 489 batting average in high school, and I hadn't made an error in 4 years and stuff like that. I get out there, and everybody was either as good as I was or a little bit better. And, you know, but on that team, 3 guys went to play professional football, and 3 guys played professional baseball, and all 6 of them are in the Hall of Fame in both.
Wow.
Yeah. And guess what? Tom Seaver came back during our training, right? And I had a bat against Tom Seaver, and I was the only guy that got a hit off him.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And I hit a line drive base single off of Tom Seaver, and the coaches turned around and looked, who is that guy hitting that? Yeah.
And you don't have anything like a recording or nothing of it, do you?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah.
That's still neat, man. Golly. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I know. I tell people one of the things that inspired me to get into railroading, the church we attended in Philly was near downtown. Of course, I lived in Germantown. We would take the Schuylkill Expressway to get to church. So I used to pass by 30th Street Station all the time. Used to see GG1s and all that stuff over there. And when I came to the Midwest, because I didn't see any diesels back then. All I saw was electric trains. I wanted to see some diesels. The only one I ever saw, I was by the Philadelphia Zoo one time near the Zoo Tower, and there was a Penn Central yard switcher working. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm supposed to be working with Dad, but I'm looking over at this train. And when we came to the Midwest and I finally started seeing diesels, then I started missing the GG1s. Of course, they're no longer in existence or running now. But I got a couple up there on the shelf there, you know, for nostalgic reasons.
Right. Well, when I was born, my mom and dad lived in a house. My mom's father bought houses for all 8 of the kids that he had. And they were all local area, and we lived there. And the train track was on less than a block away from the house, and the train would go through there all the time. And that's how I became interested, because I was a kid looking out the window watching the train.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then when I got a lot older, we used to hop on the train and jump on the box. And the box car was open. We would jump in there, sit in there, and ride the train until we could get off. Yeah.
Speaking of jumping on the train, this was early 80s. I worked at a chemical plant in Terre Haute, which is like 70 something miles west of Indianapolis. There was a track that went straight down the street, in the middle of the street, in front of the plant that I worked. Excuse me. It lined in with another track south of town.
Yeah.
I guess years ago. Excuse me. Pardon me. A couple brothers, siblings. Okay.
Yeah.
One of them drove, the other one didn't. Never had a driver's license his entire life. Well, he worked overtime, so his brother drove on home. The one that couldn't drive was still there. So he decided to jump on, because the train would switch at night. So he decided to jump on one of those empty box cars. And it ran down there near where his house was. He figured he'd just jump off and get close to the house.
Right.
He says, man, that train was haul assing when it got past where he lived. So he had to stay on the train till he got down to Vincennes, Indianapolis, or Indiana rather, which is like maybe an hour and a half away from Terre Haute. And he had to call somebody to come get him. He got home the next morning.
Yeah, you don't realize it, Yeah, but the train was a slow-moving train through our town, and we just got on and got off, about a mile down from where we got on and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. Nowadays, people go crazy.
This line where I live, or where I work, is next Frisco main line. So it's owned and operated by BNSF now, but it's got a lot of history to it.
I remember there was one time I was coming across from Perth back to home here, and I was hitching a ride across, and I was actually hitching a ride home. And usually, this is right at the time when a lot of the companies come out with the policy, no passengers in the trucks. So it was hard to get a ride. And I was at a place called Southern Cross in West Australia. It's almost in the middle of nowhere. And I thought to myself, well, there's a junction here at Southern Cross with a passing loop. Maybe if I jump on one of those trains, coming across the desert, I should be right. I went up to the Southern Cross, and here comes one train. I thought, oh, yeah, here's my opportunity. It slowed down. Then it started speeding up, and then I thought, no, I'm not going to jump on this. No, it's going a little bit too quick. But lucky I didn't, because one of the trains that was going across back east, he come off the track, and he come off the track big time. And I'm like, whoa, okay, I'm not going to try that again. Yeah. Because it's just a little bit nowhere.
Yeah, we only had one track going through, so we didn't have two tracks or anything like that through the town. So we just jumped off either side. We didn't have to worry about another train coming the other direction.
But see, where I lived in Germantown, the commuter train cut catty corner through that area of town. Reading, it was Reading trains back then. I think that's all SEPTA now. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's all SEPTA probably.
Okay, so, and back then it wasn't welded rail. It was all jointed. So you could hear the train coming by, click, 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 all the way down the track. You'd hear it before it got there. And we used to walk the track to get to the house, which was stupid. But we did that, young and dumb. Several times we had to run and get off the track. One time my foot got stuck. My brother had to come back and get me. Probably that same summer, 3 kids were up there playing on the track, and only one survived. They had to get sheets out of the house to get the other one's parts up off the track. I mean, it plastered them. That was the last time I walked the track. went back to Philly early 2000s to a Christian's Men conference up there, and we were at the airport. And I just happened to turn to see the train. We're standing right next to it, waiting on the bus to come and get us. And I said to the guys, I said, listen. They're like, what? I said, listen, what are you talking about? I said, see that great big train coming? Do you hear any sound? No. And my mind went back to when we were playing on the track, if there were welded rail back then, you know, and they didn't blow the horn, we would have just been blasted, you know it? I mean,
Right.
been wiped out. It's amazing
Oh,
something so big could be so quiet.
That's
can be quiet, right.
even here. Even the
place
diesel.
called Bay, Arkansas. I dropped the crew off at a train, and it's a real narrow access road right next to the tracks. You barely have enough room to turn around. I was turning around, and as I just happened to look out the passenger side window, and here comes this BNSFZ train screaming south at us. And I backed up just enough, and it went whizzing by us, and then we finally got turned around. So that was a little wake-up call right there.
Yeah,
Because the track speed in that area is about 60 miles an hour plus. So,
well, our new electric passenger trains that we've got running around here, even the new ones, I reckon it's even worse. The only time you hear it is once it's going past you, or should I say, once it's tail end of it's gone past you.
Mm-hmm.
So you haven't got a hope in hell. But now with these new diesels that we got coming in from the US or from Canada, that's based on the SD70 ACEs. They're quiet.
Right. Yeah.
You
As a
don't
kid,
hear them until literally they
all
go
the time.
past you.
Yeah. I used to put my ear on the rail to see if I could hear anything, you know.
I did that too. After watching old cowboy movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that explains why I got bored, you see, because all the cliches.
Yeah. Yeah, but nowadays,
Well, even the GE ones, they're quiet.
Yeah. Yeah, but I learned a lot when I ran the commuter trains into Manhattan from New Jersey in. Yeah, you're sitting on the platform waiting for the train to come. You don't even hear it. And then all of a sudden, they go right through, you know.
Man.
Now, I can't remember whether it was in Sydney or whether it was in Melbourne. No, it was in Sydney. It's a little while back now. I mean, you guys, because here our trains don't blow in Sydney. They don't blow the horn when a train goes, or particularly express train when it goes past the station. Mm-hmm. And one lady was standing really, really close to the edge of the platform. The train was going so fast, no one heard the train coming in. It actually sucked her in.
Yeah.
And over here, they always continuously, particularly when the train's coming, stay back.
Yeah, I always stood back. I never went up against the edge. No. People were standing right on the edge, looking at their phone, reading the newspaper, you know.
See, they had the subway they used to run under Center City downtown. They have a big area down there, all the stuff you can walk to. And one of the stories I heard, some guy was running from the cops and jumped down the track in the subway to get away. And the wall was kind of concave like this all the way down. So he was back up in one of those, but it happened to be an express going through and it sucked him up into it.
Yeah.
There was nothing to hold on to.
Yeah, you don't know if you're going to get electrocuted if you walk down there too.
That too.
You don't know what's hot and what's not hot.
Yep.
Yeah. We don't have that issue here because everything's overhead.
Well, the train that I was walking down the track that ran through my area, it was elevated too. You know, all the crossings were overpasses. There were no crossing gates up there. Everything was overhead.
Our power cable, we got the catenary overhead. What they do, they end up putting these covers on the bridges. It's probably about 4 or 5 foot wide, particularly on the pedestrian bridges more than anything. Because what was happening, a lot of the young ones would go up there and trying to pee up on top of trying to get onto the high tension power cord, didn't they? The overhead wire. You can imagine the buzz they were getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some guy in Manhattan in one of the subway stations, I was waiting for his train to come, and he was standing there on a platform, and he had his cell phone, and it fell down into the tracks. The idiot jumped into the tracks to get his cell phone.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the cops came, and then they stopped because there was a train coming. And the cops came, and then they had to stop the train, and then they had to get him out, and then they arrested him and took him out. Yeah, all for a stupid cell phone.
Yeah, that's pretty stupid. Yeah.
You know, Happy Valley. Well, I lock up in a couple of stations, like the particular Town Hall station, which is almost in the heart of the city, and Wynyard Station, the other one. During peak hour, morning, but particularly in the evening peak, you got a train coming through there every 50 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the blocks are so close to one another that the trains are flying through there. Even when they arrive and they're flying through there. And I tell you what, you don't want to be on that track. You don't want to be nowhere near that track when they come through, because the only time that train stops is when it comes to its number 8 sign. That's where it stops. That's it. Finished.
Well, what's that movie? I think it was one of the Speed movies where they were on a subway train and they shot the conductor, and then the train was a runaway and it was going faster and faster and everything like that. And then it ran off the tracks at the end and it went through the platform and everything. I always think about that. So when I was on a platform, I stood by a pole, steel girders. I always stood by there. I didn't want no train coming up, jumping up and taking me out. So,
but Artie, you were talking about the overhead power lines. Excuse me. Before COVID, my wife and I, we went to San Francisco, and we rode one of those big buses, big tour buses, that take you all over the place.
Yeah.
And there are several places that bus runs that I could have stood up and easily grabbed that power line. I was seated the entire time. Like I said, I'm 6'11". I could have easily done that. And I was sitting there looking at it and saying, God, I wonder if anybody was that stupid, like with an umbrella or something, to ever reach up and do something that, yes, folks do some stupid things.
You're talking about the trolley. You're talking about the trolley line there in San Francisco.
Yeah, the trolley.
It's close, man. It is extremely close to the top of that bus, and it's an open top. All I had to do is do that. If I was that stupid,
I've got to say, I like what they've done in Sydney, and because I've been going up there recently in this last month. I've been going up there nearly every second week, and the thing I like what they've done with the new system now with the trolleys, we call them trams. They go so far, they drop the pantograph down. You don't have the overhead wires anymore. You'll drop it down, and in the middle of the track, it's almost like Anthony Dodge's Markland rail system. It's got the pickup in the middle of the track, and it's picking up the power in the middle of the road, road as it goes.
Wow!
And we do have a tour bus that does the same thing, like what in San Francisco, like you have in most cities. You don't have the opportunity of reaching up for the high voltage power cable going across. Now you just get slapped in the face by a tree branch.
Either if it has a third rail, because that's powered, right? You get electrocuted if you do that.
Yeah, but it's so far apart. It's so far apart that even if you stepped on it, you wouldn't be electrocuted. But the way it's done, I'll have to get a photo of it. The way they've done it it's a genius way of doing it. Yeah. You can step on it, you won't get electrocuted because you need to have 1 foot on the middle rail and 1 foot on the outer rail. But the way they've done it, because we got some dumb nuts here. We had a fatal here. Was it last week? Was it last week or week before? We actually had a fatal in Sydney. Our first fatal pedestrian in Sydney. Now, we got the two trolleys hooked up together. And where it's hooked up, you got a big sign right in the middle, an anti-climb thing on it where it says, do not enter, do not cross. So this young 17-year-old, what she decided to do, because the trolley stopped in front of her, decided she's going to jump across there, didn't she? Couldn't wait 1 minute. The tram took off and took her out from underneath it. So, I mean, there is someone going to do something.
Yeah. I know one of the things back in the 70s, I guess it was 70s, yeah. The old trolleys had the single line. Guys would run up there behind the trolley and just pull it, that cord, and kill the power to the trolley stop right there in the middle of the street. When you curving up, you mean you used to do that?
Only in Melbourne. Because we didn't have him up here. We only had him in Melbourne. We had an outlet down in a warehouse in Melbourne. Actually, start talking about that. It just came to a good one. This before robotics. G'day, Mister. Coles Warehouse. Coles is, well, I'll say Bilo, because Bilo is a subsidiary of Coles. The big main warehouse. And when we used to get to a certain time of the day, like when we get past our 11, 10 hours, we start getting team money as truck drivers. Now, I've got to have a lot. There's me and my cousin, and it's a Friday night. Well, Fridays and stuff, buggered. We might as well get some team money and overtime. How are we going to do this? Now, you have these little trolleys that's about as wide as a pallet, and it followed the chains going around the warehouse. And when that trolley came to the forklift to come and take it off, on the front there's a clip that slips into the chain. So what? Just as it comes to Smoko, somebody accidentally clips the clip and pulls it out. Of course, it takes it off the track. And where we were unloading, it had a bend. Of course, there's no fall on the track, so all the trolleys come across and go bang, 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 bang. I mean, we're talking about 60, 70, 80 trolleys. Bang, 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 bang. Of course, when they come back from Smoko, they're like, oops. And it takes them 2 hours to sort it out. So we had overtime, didn't we?
Yeah. I don't know, guys. I really don't. There's always strange things that happen, don't there?
Yep.
But the best one is in Melbourne. We used to get like with overheight, especially with overheight loads with our trucks. They give us our route permits, which way to travel, and I was 4.8 meters high. Now, our legal maximum, particularly on the trolley lines, is about 4.4, 4.5. And the funny thing was, I looked at the permit, looked at the route, and I knew I was going underneath tram tracks. I'm going to be too high. So I ring up the permit department. I said, I can't take this route. I've got to take another one. No, you take that route. But I can't fit on the tram line. No, you do what I tell you. You're going to go down that road. And I'm only allowed to go down there between 1 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the morning. But I'm going to take the power lines out. Whatever you want me to go down there. Okay. You said I'm going to go go down there. Fair enough, I'll go down there. 1:30 in the morning. 3 miles of tram tracks. Their power lines just stripped all out, and I just kept on going. I'll get to Adelaide, which is Adelaide's roughly about 350, 400 miles away from Melbourne, and you hear it here on the headline news that there's a lot of tram cancellations over in Melbourne because there's overhead power lines taken down. I'm like, oh, I wonder who could that be? Yeah.
No.
Can't do that now. They crucify you now. I don't care. They messed up. They still try to crucify you here.
You can't do anything now. Remember back in the day, when I was a kid, we used to hitchhike all over the place. Now you can't do that.
Nope.
No, well, we can thank that for a guy here in Australia called Ivan Belant when he started taking all those backpackers into the forest. I mean, he was the one that killed a lot of it here.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there was those people that would, but we used to go and we used to ride our bikes everywhere. I mean, I rode my bicycle on a 3-lane highway on the shoulder, but back then there might have been 10 cars on that 3-lane highway.
Yep, I rode my 10-speed all over Philadelphia. Rode everywhere. I mean, from Germantown to downtown, I think it was like 19 miles or something like that. I went down to University of Pennsylvania to try out for the New York, Philadelphia basketball. They would play against each other. Yeah, I rode 10-speed down there to do that. Back at home,
I did it all around here, and we just had the last year we had our version of the Tour de France, which is the international cycle racing, and they went up the mountain. And I used to cycle race when I was younger, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. But when I looked at the route that they did, I'm like, you're giving the easy way up there. You got to send them the other way. The other way's harder to climb up. You gave them the easy way to climb up,
When I was a kid, they didn't have 10-speed bikes. They had 3-speed bikes. They were
we had 3. Yeah, we had 3 and 10-speed. It was funny. Here's another crazy one. Remember back in the 70s disco era, all the knuckleheads walking around with platform shoes?
Yep.
I can honestly say, hand to God, I never owned a pair of them.
No.
One of our friends, we're riding bicycles. Everybody has on sneakers except Derek. He has on platform shoes. And we went down this narrow street, and their cars trying to run through there, and he lost his balance. He put his foot down, and the car ran over his foot. That toe on that shoe was so hard, it's like he had steel toes on. It bumped over his foot and didn't hurt him. But that toe was so soft after he did that.
Yeah, right.
We're dying laughing at this guy, man.
You only get one shot.
Yep, he got one shot. He lucked out.
Yeah.
Oh, the things that we did when we were younger, dudes.
Well, we had the Stingray bikes,
Yeah.
Pedal. Right. My first bicycle had hard, solid tires. Didn't have air tires. They were solid. That was hard to learn how to ride.
Yeah. All right. So did you build ramps and try to play Evel Knievel?
Oh, of course.
There were 2 or 3 guys in my neighborhood. We young and dumb, right? Lose a nut to hold your wheel on. As long as you didn't pop a wheel, you were fine. You could still ride it, right?
Right.
Kid up the street, he must have had a brain fart. We down there jumping over this ramp. It's like 80, 90 degrees that day. And there's a cul-de-sac we were down in. Asphalt. So the asphalt's kind of soft. Man, he hit that ramp, went up in the air. That tire flew off. He hits the ground, and them forks dig into the asphalt at least that far. Right. He slid down the rail, the crossbar of that bike, and hit his gonads against the handlebars and just fell over on the ground like this. Of course, we're young and dumb. We don't care. We're over on the ground just rolling, laughing at him. Right. I often wonder, was that guy able to make kids later on in life?
Some of the things, like we were playing football in the schoolyard. They had the play area. It was all macadam, and it was a nice, good sized football field. But at the one end, it had big maple trees at the end, and that was the end zone. And I was the quarterback. I threw a pass to a guy. He was doing a post pattern. Bang! Head right into the tree. We were out for about 5 minutes.
We didn't wear helmets back then. Nobody had knee pads.
No, helmets? What helmets? I watched these bicyclists with helmets on, and I just cringe. I said, what are you wearing a helmet for? It's a bicycle.
Yeah. Oh, man.
When I lived in Key West, I drove my motorcycle. No helmet rule down there. You don't have to wear a helmet. I drove my motorcycle without a helmet. And these people are riding in bicycles with helmet, elbow pads, knee pads. What do you think you're going to do? You know?
Well, I'll tell you what did happen to my brother. We found this junk bike, and we took it and put it back together. And you were fine every now and then. It was a 3-speed bike. Every now and then the gear would slip.
Ow. Ooh.
So he was pedaling up the street, and the gear slipped, and he started wobbling. 3 doors up from us, there was a guy. He kept a Cadillac. I think he was leasing them, and every 2 years he had a different one. Well, this was a 58 Cadillac. They had the real long fin.
Right.
Yeah.
And when my brother slipped, he hit that caddy, broke one of the tail lights, and he said he was hurt right here in his groin. Okay.
Right.
He had blue jeans on. It didn't poke a hole in his jeans, but he went upstairs to the bathroom to see was there any damage. He knocked a hole right, inches away from his bag, man. My mom and dad had to take him to the hospital. He got 9 stitches, man. It punctured him.
So, did you manage to become an uncle there, Pedro, or not?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, he produced what, 3, 4 kids? Yeah.
No, yeah. Some of the stuff we did on our bikes.
Yeah.
But it made us tough. We weren't wrapped in cotton wool back then.
No gear, just pedaling. You had to pedal, you know.
Yeah.
But the way people are now on the roads, I'm still a truck driver, but when you look at people that are on the roads, they're even when they're driving, they're going like this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. And I've seen in the United States, and it's illegal here.
It's illegal here too, but you still do it.
It's illegal to do this in New Jersey.
Yes, here too.
Right?
You're supposed to have
people doing this.
Yep.
But here we got cameras. Here they got bad cameras, and they're still doing it.
On this, not to drive it.
Yeah, you're supposed to be hands-free here in Indiana too.
Yeah, but
over here we got the learners. Wigwag was mentioning the P-platers, so they're basically first-year provision and second-year provision, the ones that just got their licenses. They are not allowed to have this phone in the main cabin of the car. They are not even allowed to use the Bluetooth or hands-free.
Right.
Wow.
If they get detected that actually got that in it, they'll lose their brief.
Mm-hmm.
They've toughened down really hard on. They do. If you're a new driver, you cannot use a mobile phone in the car.
That should be like that everywhere. It should be, because that's a distraction. It's the biggest distraction there is. And these big SUVs with their 48-inch screen on the dashboard, they have their own. They have a computer on the dashboard. And
all right, leave my big SUV alone.
Yeah, everybody's watching that screen. They're not watching with us on the road, I don't
know if I saved it here, but those GPSs that you got in the car.
Yeah. And
people don't look at what's around them and beside them.
Right.
They follow the GPS instruction. Change lanes now. I'll change lanes now because the GPS told me to change it. I had these people one time here Lucky I was empty. Well, lucky I was empty at the time. But the GPS told me to change lanes. They didn't see me coming up behind him. I'm in the center. I'm nearly at the back tailgate, and they come right out in front of me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Now
people
I
aren't
hit the
paying
brakes,
attention
but
too much
I
to the
done
signs.
about
They're not gonna drive
$10,000
you.
worth of damage to my tyres. I had
Yeah.
little flat spots. I lost about that much of tread on my tyres, trying to avoid hitting him. And they're like, I didn't do nothing wrong. They go, well, let's go to the police. And when I show the police the dash cam footage, they go, no, dangerous driving.
There you
That's what
go.
I'm driving.
There you go.
I
Very
need the
nice.
leg room.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm gonna have to bail because the train's here, and I gotta make a quick phone call before I take off. So,
Oh, you got to go do
Yeah,
something.
All right.
Thanks
Be
for
safe
stopping
out
Take
in.
care,
there.
Randall.
no, hey, not a problem. Appreciate you guys. You guys have a good night.
Okay,
You too.
take care.
All right,
Yeah,
we'll
we're
see
gonna
you.
get off soon anyway. It's already over 2 hours. So yeah,
Yeah, that's
it's,
very nice. I mean, I've been looking at because when I get me payout for my accident, I will be needing to upgrade my to a better vehicle because my 1-ton Lantra is not going to do it anymore.
mhm.
She's already moaning and groaning, and she's doing clunking noises at the moment. Suspension. I suppose I have 4 or 5 tons of chains and tools in the trunk doesn't help. But yeah, it'd be nice to have a nice car for a change.
I don't
I
have
had a
anything.
pickup truck. I traded it in on that thing.
Yeah, pickup trucks are for tools and stuff like that, not cars.
Oh, no, this is sedan, Pedro. This is the Hyundai Elantra, the Elantras, the 4-door versions.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what it is. I call it a 1-ton because I got all my tools and that inside the trunk. It's only an enormous sedan, but it sits like this.
Oh well. The only thing I carry around in mine, maybe a wrench or two, not much. I mean, I'm retired, so I'm not carrying anything around here. It's a big
Right.
cruising mobile.
right. That's what you need. You might need a tool or two, but not a whole toolkit.
Yeah, them days are over with. So
Right.
Well, unfortunately, like when I'm working with the machines and that here, when I'm for the company I work for now, I carry a lot of lifting, a lot of the big tools and the lifting chains and whatnot in the car with me. I don't leave it on site because we're having a lot of these people that like to
Yeah.
borrow
Yeah.
permanently.
Yeah. They
Without us.
disappear. They
Yeah.
disappear. Right.
And they're not cheap to replace it. And when you need it and they're gone, it's like, oh, geez, I know I had it here. Where is it?
Right. Then to replace it costs twice as much as what you got when you first got it.
Yeah, and insurance doesn't cover it.
Right.
I just found out today that from my wreck, my boss lost $30,000 in earnings, and the insurance didn't pay him, and it wasn't our fault.
Right.
wow.
And I actually think that his son had something to do with it because his son's. It's like no.
Well, insurance companies aren't out. They're not there to pay out. They're there to not pay out.
Yeah, they just
Right.
make money between themselves. That's all it is.
Yep.
Well, they were talking today on the radio about these artificial intelligent cars and stuff like that, where they're going to do all the driving and everything like that. So why would you need insurance anymore, right? You wouldn't need it, right? Then the one guy goes, well, what if a boulder falls on your car? Then you have damage that way, right? Oh, well, okay, so you have comprehensive insurance. That was always cheap. But you know what they'll do? They'll change the comprehensive to be real expensive, and because you won't need collision coverage anymore, right?
They're gonna get you anyway. Either way, you're gonna get it.
Right.
What they-
And then also, they won't need cops anymore to patrol the highways because there'll be no speeding, right?
It's all right. Somebody will work out a way to hold it up.
Yeah.
Somebody will
They'll
find a
figure
way to
out,
hold it up.
figure out something else. They'll figure, the cops will have to watch you for sleeping, right? You'll be going down there. That's what I want it for, so I can sleep the hour and a half it takes me to go to work. I can sleep that hour and a half, right?
Oh,
But then
Yeah,
they'll
Daryl,
pull
g'day,
over.
buddy. We see you. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, it would be a good idea that, but I can't see that here.
I'm not a proponent of it. I don't like the idea because I like to be able to control what I'm doing.
Yeah,
me
yeah.
too.
Right. Right. I don't want something else control what I'm doing because that means somebody in a room somewhere can stop you at any time they want.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. No. So
Well,
Yep.
see, so you hear they're trying to push the electric cars really badly, and I'm like, an electric car would not. Okay, it'll work in the city. Fair enough. It's all right. It's ideal for the city, right? But for a country like Australia, particularly with me, the regions where I go to, at the moment with car, it will take me 10 hours to get all 12 hours. Well, take an average trip 10 hours by car now with petrol. Now, the electric cars takes up to about 4 to 5 hours to charge up completely,
right.
right? So that means a 10-hour trip will become a 15, 16-hour trip.
Right.
It's not feasible.
No.
It's ironic you bring that up. We were driving to Anderson, Indiana yesterday to a funeral, friend of ours' funeral. And Anderson, it's not a half hour up the road from where I live on the northeast side of Indianapolis. And there was a car that passed us, an electric car with a California plate. And I said to my wife, I wonder how many times he had to stop and charge that sucker up to get to Indiana from California. So,
Right.
Oh,
And
well,
then,
exactly.
and then find a charging station somewhere.
yeah.
Right.
But
It's
they
not
are popping up. Heck, the YMCA I go to about a month or so ago tore up 2 parking spots to put electric chargers there now at the YMCA. I'm like, the grocery
really.
store I go to, they got like 4 or 5 of them out there, so they're popping up all over. But I don't think I'll ever own an electric car. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna say
Not me
never,
either.
but I'm gonna say I'm pretty sure I won't.
I don't mind the hybrid. I
Okay.
don't mind the
Look at
hybrid
this.
ones.
Look at this. You plug in your electric car at your house. You could end up having your house burned down because of a fire from
Yes.
that charging process.
Yes.
But it's
No
not.
thank
But
you.
it's not even that.
And
You have
it's
to look
not a
over here.
universal connect either. They don't have a universal connect for them suckers either. They're different.
No.
But you have a look what's happened here. Like they could just shut down a fair few power stations here to provide power station because we're going green, right? But it's jumped the power price up.
Yeah.
Now, of course, it's not going to just cost you a couple of dollars to recharge your car. It's going to cost you just as much, if not more,
Yeah.
to charge up here in Australia, to charge up a car as it does run. I mean, as it is in gas.
It would cost me this much to charge up a car at my house because I have 2 Tesla batteries on the side of my house that'll charge a car.
Yeah, but if you have but
That
for
won't,
those that
that won't
don't
come out
have
of
it,
my electric power. That comes from the sun. The sun charges those 2 batteries,
Oh, okay.
right?
well, that's a
And
smart way of doing it. But those batteries, when you look
but
at how
I
much,
wouldn't because if I drive a car to work and back and forth, one guy had a rental car and it was an electric car. He had to drive it to work. He lived in Newark, New Jersey, and he was going to my office in Teaneck, New Jersey. He's only 20 miles away. He had to recharge the car when he got to the office.
yeah.
Right?
The other problem is you can't drive them through floodwater.
No.
The roads where I go to, they flood. You can't go in through floodwater. There's no way in the world.
Right.
Yeah.
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 No.
You know,
Yeah.
come on.
There's a lot of problems with it. Like I said the other day, there was 3 car fires one on each of the highways that I was on. The highways were shut down, and there were 3 Teslas on fire.
Was it in Melbourne or Brisbane? At a car, I think it was in Brisbane, a car auction place, right? They had electric cars sitting up on top on a rack. They've been auctioned off and sold off. One of them caught on fire on the rack.
Yeah. Right.
There was about 30, 40 cars that got burned alongside it because they couldn't get to the cars to put the fire out.
You know what I think is happening? Somebody's hacking into the Teslas and hitting the button that causes them to go on fire. That's what I think is happening.
Yeah, it's probably Elon Musk. You go, I need a bit more money. I've got to sell some more cars. Hang on.
I get all. Fellas, the boss come and got me.
The wife is spoken.
So I'm going to see you guys later. It's been fun. I'll talk to you soon.
See you again, buddy.
There you go. Happy wife, happy life. Right?
Yeah, there you go.
I don't
See
have
you
that
later.
trouble.
See you
All right,
everybody.
thanks for stopping in. Nice talking to you.
No problem. You too.
Okay. All right, guys, everybody. I just want to say thank you for stopping in, and I appreciate you coming in and staying with me here. And I hope everybody has a good night and enjoy the rest of your week. And we'll see you again soon. This is Tom, and everybody take care.
Good night, people.